I've been trying to move away from Christianity myself because of how the religion has really become, in my opinion. But, I really move more towards the old pagan gods like Zeus and the Greek gods. Why do you think I should prefer the Norse gods?
I have an argument for this, and I
Okay.
want you to take it away. Please allow me a moment to run down some logical pathways. So, I am privy to the Greek cosmology. It's part of my theology classes. Um, so, the Greek cosmology, the only ones that are morally, based on our modern morality, good, right, are the demigods,
Well, what is
right?
good? Well, wait. What does good mean here?
Oh, I'm getting in. I'm getting into it. Just give me a moment, please.
Okay.
I'm not trying. I'm not trying. So I want to clarify. I'm not trying to attack what you are interested in.
Yeah,
I'm just
no
trying to.
problem. I just wanted to get clarification, so.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so based on our modern morality is what I'm saying, right? And based on the morality of the period as well, when we had the Greek gods coming in. Um, so now we can look at the stories. Zeus was essentially a most of the Greek pantheon, the male gods in the Greek pantheon, take what they want, right? Um,
Yeah, but I
Also,
mean,
we have
didn't Loki turn into a horse and another horse?
no. He enticed the horse to impregnate him, right?
Uh huh.
So then the wall could be built. It was consensual,
I mean, do
essentially.
you think that that's a moral good?
Well, that's a good question. I hate Loki. That's my own practice. But I think based on the so my argument for the Nordic pantheon is if it has a utility in the cosmology to stave something off or to protect us from something worse, right? That could happen, then yes, that is a moral good, right? So for example, if Loki did not do that, right, we wouldn't have Freya, right? Because Freya would have been taken as his bride, and that would have been not good because without Freya, the cosmology wouldn't be linear.
Well,
Um,
I'm just curious. I don't mean to cut you off. I just want to get some clarification on your positions, if you don't mind, real quick. Um, so when you say utility, I don't understand why you would move towards
sure, go
util.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm not actually sure why you move towards utility for the purpose of what is good or bad for the Norse gods.
Well, when I read the Greek pantheon, which I've done a decent amount of research into the Greek pantheon, when I had read the Greek pantheon, the utility is their own, and you can clarify me on this. Their utility is their own needs, right, or their own wants,
Well, I guess
right?
that's not really my
When we go into the
question.
Nordic pantheon,
I'm sorry, that's not actually
I'm getting towards it.
my question is what is utility from your perspective from the gods. So I guess what I'm asking isn't if they do things which you consider to have utility, but what you consider utility to be.
I apologize. I had to mute for a second. I was walking through the house.
No problem.
So utility essentially, as it is defined, is a need, something that has a direct effect that is a positive.
Oh, yes, right
Right.
there.
That's my phone. Sorry, I just plugged it in. But something that has a utility, right? That has a direct positive impact on something,
Yeah, but
right?
that's these are subjective metrics though. Like if you when you say when you so why would you need a god for subjective metric at all?
Well, because that's what the cosmology demands.
The cosmology demands that you use a subjective metric for what is good.
Yeah. So the the gods themselves are a are a, I guess you could say, catalyst for the utility, right? Because they make the action, right? And based on that action, we can come to the assumption based on the cause and effect, what whether that outcome is morally good or morally bad, right? Based on modern morality, right?
Why would you? I'm sorry. Why would you use modern moral standards for good or bad for utility based on Norse gods? I actually don't understand this.
Why is that? I
Well,
think I'm being.
well,
I
I
think I'm
don't.
being.
I don't actually understand the principle. Why would you need the gods at all to just uphold the standard of subjective morality? I don't. I don't
All right, so
understand.
this is gonna be a little long-winded.
Okay.
I will answer it fully. I think I'm being pretty concise here. So just let me finish here.
Okay.
So we can take a couple of different examples from the lore. So we can go into the birth of Vidar, right? Vidar, right? This is something that a lot of Lokians and a lot of other people from other faiths see as morally bad. Now, me, however, I acknowledge that it is not the best action, but it has its utility, right? So Odin, however, he goes and he says, well, I need this son to be born. Him knowing his ultimate fate and what needs to happen for Ragnarok, he goes to a giantess and he says, lay with me, right? And he knows Vidar is going to be born from this giantess. And she says, no. So what does he do? He goes and he finds a seer, a seeress, right? And he says, I need you to turn me in. I need you to go to this giantess and then turn me into a woman, and we will bewitch her, and then she will lay with me. And then Vidar is born. Now, if you know the function in the cosmology that Vidar has, right? He avenges Odin at Ragnarok, right? Therefore, unaliving Fenrir and making it so everything can be renewed for Midgard, the place that we call home, right? So it can be repopulated, right? That's the utility. It's an ultimate good utility. The ends justify the means,
Yeah, I'm
right?
not.
So
I'm not actually even
that
disputing
is
the lore.
a good based on what happens for cause and
Yeah,
effect, right?
I'm not disputing the lore or
If
what you could see as being utility from the lore. What I'm asking specifically is if you have a subjective metric for what is good, meaning utility, whatever you think that is, the ultimate good, uh, and it's a subjective metric, why do you need to base that on gods at all? Couldn't anybody just have the same basic subjective metric that you do? What would be the incentive to follow the gods?
Well, the incentive to follow the gods is essentially, well, heathenism and Asatru go into a very wishy-washy kind of kind of area because each person, I don't agree with this. Each person has their own structure that they structure their practice based off of. The majority of heathens believe in the gods because a majority of heathens are military, right? And they don't have to feel bad for their actions that they cause in the military, right? There's also the whole idea of dying in battle and stuff like that, which I don't essentially agree with. Most of us are going to Helheim. The incentive to believe in the gods is essentially, well, I can reside in this place after I pass away, right? Helheim sounds like a great place, right?
Well, do you
And
literally believe in these gods?
well, I'm a hard polytheist.
Yeah, I mean, so you literally believe they exist?
I'm a hard polytheist. I can tell you my premise, but for why I believe they exist, yes.
Yeah, well, I guess I just want to make sure I get this clarified. You're saying yes, you believe these gods literally exist?
Yeah, I do, on the basis of energy. And there's some scientific backing for this.
Okay. Okay. Well, hang on. I don't or you don't even have to dive into that. I just want to make sure I get this clear. So, if these gods have a subjective metric for morality and you have a subjective metric for morality, will you do things which you consider to be moral that you think would go against these gods' morality?
So, my moral doctrine, if you read the topics that are up there, my moral doctrine is I live by the Havamal. I have. I was. I've been raised in Asatru. That's what I grew up with. That's what I was taught. I live my life by the Havamal. I always have. I would give it a read. So yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd do anything against um, the Havamal. I don't think I'd do that. I know.
If you did do anything against it, would that be morally bad?
Well, we can look at the morality of like what you're not supposed to do in the Nordic belief system. We can look at that for a second if you'd like.
Or are you allowed to be
Um,
a homosexual in the Nordic belief system?
well, yeah, our ancestors had bisexual to Freya.
Okay. So, and are you a supporter of that?
I am.
Okay. So, let's say other pagans who they people in the I mean that's true they did German tribes especially did were they
Citation.
yeah were they doing something that was morally
Citation. Citation.
what?
I need a citation for that.
I mean, did you think that I would have that handy while I did like a random call?
Well, I did expect you to become prepared.
Yeah, I did. Well, I just told you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to have a citation ready. You haven't given me a citation for anything you've said.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean you haven't physically given it to me. No. So what I'm saying to you is this: assuming that there were at least some, you wouldn't dispute that there were at least some tribes which did this practice.
Um. Yes, I would agree
Okay.
that
So
that
did
would
were
be
they doing something morally wrong?
okay. Really quick, dude. I have a question for you. So
Hmm.
I don't understand. So do you have a specific narrative you're trying to push here?
Well, I'm saying that I think that the Greek gods are superior to the Norse gods, and one of the ways that I think I can demonstrate this is by showing that you have an inconsistent moral foundation, and that your moral foundation is actually secular. It's a secular belief structure and
Okay.
utility rather than in these
So you're
gods.
muted. So I've heard this
Well,
from some of the pagan.
why did you mute me when
I'll
I was
mute you again.
explaining?
Um,
Why don't you let me
this
get
is a
my position
dictatorship.
out?
This is a dictatorship. Hold on.
You're not going to let me get my
Hold on a
position out?
second. Hold on. Please, I'm trying to be respectful. I wanted to cut you off
It's
there
not
when you were still
respectful to
talking.
not let me get my position out.
Okay, hold on a second, dude. I'm really trying to say something. Hold on. Please be patient. I wanted to stop you there. So the argument of superiority, right, doesn't go very far if we use the gas station analogy. Now, the gas station analogy is something that we use in the academic sphere to understand different polytheistic pre-Christian belief systems, right? So the polytheistic belief system and the gas station analogy basically goes like this, right? So let's say Thor goes to Greece, right? Or Zeus goes to Scandinavia or Norway, right? Um, and they see him, and they would understand him to be Zeus, right? They would understand him to have the characteristics that they are used to within their society, right? Therefore, making every single god and every single pantheon and every single moral doctrine within every pantheon um, just as valid as every other one, right? And everybody's belief is just as valid, right? Um, and I think what you're trying to say, right, is that you're putting yourself on this moral high ground that you essentially have to put yourself on because you have to feel better than somebody, right? Which I think is logically inconsistent with your pantheon, right? Or maybe it is because I've come across a multitude of different Greco-pagans, and they are, however, not the most savory people. I know a few that are, but with that
Well,
comment,
I mean
I'm
that
going
was an
to.
ad hom, by the way.
It wasn't an ad hom.
It
It
was.
was. It was my. It was. It wasn't an ad hom.
It
It
was.
was understanding of your community.
No, that was an ad hominem. You were arguing. You were literally arguing with this thing that you built up as a personal attack, not with me.
Okay, it was my understanding of your community and who resides in it.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay.
It's not
Well,
an ad.
let me move. Can we move back to this discussion without you entailing your personal feelings as to whether or not you speculate that I need to feel superior or things like this? That's all nonsense. Has nothing to do with the argument.
Grandstanding. You're grandstanding. You're literally grandstanding.
Well, no, I'm asking if we can have this discussion absent you, going after whatever your personal opinions are. Those are irrelevant for the purpose of the argument.
Go after with my personal opinions. What I went after specifically was I used the gas station analogy, which disproves your superiority argument.
Well, okay, so if that's true, then you're actually saying that your gods are not superior to my own.
And your gods are not superior to my own.
Well, then, if that's true, which of our moral systems should we go with?
Whichever one you choose.
So then, your moral system's no better than mine.
Precisely.
So would it be moral then for all of the Greek pagans to conquer all of the Norse pagans?
I mean, I don't think that would happen modern day.
Yeah, that's not my question.
I don't think that would happen.
Then my question's not whether or not it would happen.
I don't do whataboutisms.
It's not a whataboutism. It's a hypothetical to test your morality.